Welcome to the fifth episode of the Openers podcast, everyone. Today we have Nandini Pandit with us, the founder of Saga Jaipur and a NIFT graduate. So, Nandini, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for inviting me here. It's an honor to doing this. Like it's great because I'm very new and very camera conscious, as you can see. So bear with me. About me, I think I'm from Jaipur. I'm a NIFT graduate, as you just said. I started this company about 8 months ago, and that's why I'm here today to talk about it, to tell you how I did it, my journey, and would love if do you guys have any question answer sort of a thing in the comments or something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I would love to interact with all of you. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you. And as you can see, there's not the usual co-host that we have with us today. We have Udish Verma, and you would have seen us on our channel. He was the first person with whom we launched the podcast. So, Udish, any one or two lines from your end, and then we can begin.
Yeah, happy to be on the other side, and it feels very weird. But but yeah, glad to be a part of it.
Okay, thanks, Udish. Cool. So, Nandini, we'll get to Saga Jaipur, but before that, I think just to start with the journey of becoming a founder, right? You had mentioned earlier to me that you weren't really planning to become a designer, but you had some other plans while you were back in school, or say just before
Yeah.
joining college. So, could you just walk us through that journey of yours and that thought process of yours? So where did you come from, and how did you even land up in it?
Okay. Okay, so starting from the beginning, it's actually a funny story. So I always knew I wanted to do something creative because बचपन से ऐसा होता है ना, when you start sketching, when you like start getting A's in like your art subject, and people say, oh, you know what, you should become a designer. So it was always there in my head. But in 10th standard, when we were asked to choose subjects, so I took like bio because I did not want to take commerce. Simple reason. And because I was not really good at math. And I did take math, but that was for different reasons. So I basically had P, C, B, M. And obviously, like parents' ka choice hota hai that you go for medical because you have biology. So that's like the best way to go. And little did I know, I was like, okay, whatever my parents are saying. And then when I just actually started preparing for the exam, so I knew I was not cut for it. Like I knew I could crack it because I would, dedicate myself and study and all of it. But I knew that it wasn't for me. And so my parents, both of them are architects. So like, how people like all of us, we start by A for apple, B for ball. So in our home, it's like A for arches, B for beam sort of a thing. So बचपन से पता था कि कुछ ना कुछ मतलब it was very easy for me. It's like way of life था मेरे लिए. So when in my year, so I graduated in 2015 from school. So in that year, the NEET, that it's an exam for MBBS. So that year, that exam, it got cancelled because of some cheating scandal. So I gave that, I appeared for that exam. I think I would have made it through also, but since it like got cancelled, so my dad said, give it again. And I was like, no, I'm done. I did what you asked me to do. I'm totally done. So I just asked them, I'll just like appear for some other exams of my liking. They were like, okay, cool, do you, because they were like, okay, she's gonna go. It's okay, let her do what she wants. And I did it, and without any preparation, I wanted to get into NID, which is the National Institute of Design, but I couldn't get in. But I got into NIFT, and it was pretty. I had a decent rank, so told my parents, I want to go here. And they were kind of taken aback first. And then we had this Cold War for about a month, like me and my dad. And he was like, no, no, not this, that. But then he came through, I came through. I talked to him. I was like, listen, I can't do medical. It's not me. And I would be better here. And my parents, like, they were very understanding. So they understood and they let me, go appear for the counseling. And it was basically like luck. Like, yeah, like the NIFT wala exam, the entrance, it was like the worst exam of my life. As I told you, it was like the worst. And according to me, but I still got in. So I was like, okay, I think God really wants me to do this, no other reason. So yeah. And then when I started my journey at NIFT, so I think that would describe those 4 years as the best years of my life. And I think all of us do that. Our college years, we consider them as the best years, but for me it was like I fit in. Like, finally I found a place and I just fit in. Like, everything was easy for me. Like, my life just got better. I was never struggling for grades. I was just, every time I would just do me and I would just get through. It was like that. So I knew I was at the right place. So yeah. And my parents were happy because I was doing well at college. So they were also like, okay, so they made a right choice. So it was good. And because I faced that 1 month ka cold war, so I always, made it a point to excel in academics there and like other things, so that, I don't have to listen to that one taunt, we told you should have taken whatever. So yeah. So a lot of things, but it was amazing. Like, going that decision, it was groundbreaking for me, turning point in my life.
So what generally happens is parents who are doctors, they tell their children to become doctors so that the legacy continues. But how did this happen that your parents are architects and they are asking you to become a doctor and not an architect, right? So why was there a change in?
They wanted me to become an architect, but me, because I said, I was like, oh no maths for me. And they were like, do something like what? So I shattered their dream बहुत ही पहले, because I said no math. So they knew I couldn't get into anything. So they said, okay, fine, then become a doctor. Like, doctor bhi unka to second choice hi tha. But designer to they were like, okay, no. But then after I got in and I started doing well, so they were happy. And I think they're okay with whatever I'm doing. I think they're very happy with me starting my own thing, which makes me in turn very happy, because I think at the end, that's what you want, to make them happy. So everything is, now falling into place. I think that's a very important lesson. You starting where everything is scattered, and then after a few years, you realize that whatever happened, it was for the best. So that
it
happened
eventually
to
comes
me.
together, right? It might be at different point in time, but comes together.
Yeah, definitely. My parents were very happy that I did not become a doctor when the pandemic started. They were like, oh, good. Acha beta ghar aa gayi. I was like, yeah, okay. Wow, way to go.
So I had a question. So basically, the convention path is that let's say you take commerce, science, or as you said, PCMB, and do your 11th and 12th. And somewhere down the line, you realize ki, yaar, matlab, this is not something which I'm interested in, or I'm liking it, which happened with you. And then you somehow convinced your parents and kind of changed your career path from being a doctor to, let's say, went into NIFT and all. So what would you, advise the students, let's say, because काफी बार ऐसा होता है यार कि they think that we are in too deep, right? So we have studied, let's say, biology for 2 years, and now it's probably not the right time to back out and doctor बनने की जगह let's try something out. So anything that you have for students who are struggling ऐसी situation में?
Okay, so first thing that I think is the most important thing to do is, first of all, stop, take a breath, and introspect. I think that is like the most important thing anybody at any age can do. You have to stop for a moment. You have to think, what do you want? So basically what I do is I make a priority list in my head, like not like literally, but it should be a priority list. What do I want? Is so if I'm stuck somewhere, like I was at that time. So from that perspective, if I tell you, so I knew that even if I studied a lot and I cracked the exam and I go into medical, I knew that I wouldn't be happy. So at that point of time, I prioritized my happiness over my career, because I think at that age you're very emotional. At like 60, 18, you're like, you know what, I have to be happy first. Or maybe that clarity I always had in mind, and deep down everybody has it. So that's what I'm saying. So some people might choose career over the happiness, as I call it, or maybe the struggle over getting into something you're comfortable with. So first of all, you prioritize, make a priority list in your head. You tell yourself what do you want, what comes over, whatever that's bugging you. And then aapka, like most of your the difficult part is almost over. After that, I think working really hard is extreme. That's my go-to, I think, advice to anybody who's struggling. Do not give up on hard work. It will pay off. Not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe, a year later, but it'll definitely pay off. So, you have to make it very clear in your head. You think what you want, you work for it, and then you will achieve it. And you have to think about it. You have to, like how, how Gen Z says, manifesting this and manifesting that. So you have to manifest your success, I guess. So that. And also I don't know, stand up for yourself. Because at that age, you don't have responsibilities. You don't have to think about giving. You can just be selfish and just take what you want at that age. So don't be afraid of it. It's okay. Your parents love you. They will support you. And if they don't, then, well, take it as a hobby. I don't know.
Convince them just like you did. Maybe have a cold war,
Yeah.
but get them on your side.
Yeah. It's just a one.
Yeah.
It's 1 month. It's okay.
But like you said, taking a breath, I think it's a very underrated thing that people
I'm
don't
very
realize
underrated.
about.
Yeah.
But just I mean that's how how our life revolves around it. So yeah.
I think especially
Yeah.
India, right, Udish, and then even so, it's a race. If you stop, it's like you lose,
Yeah.
and you don't want to stop. Like take a
But
breath. Taking
that's
a breath is
very,
stopping.
very untrue. Yeah.
That is untrue, but
That's
that is the
not,
mentality. That's the wrong mentality
that's the
that people
mentality.
have, and they need to get out of it. Is what your example shows, first of all. And you made the
Yeah.
right decision, because the gut feeling that you have, you should sometimes trust it, and most of the times trust it. But yeah, people don't do it just because they've come so far.
Yeah. I mean, 99% of the time, your gut tells you what to do. But you can't just rely on the gut, is all I'm saying. You can't say, "Ki, I want to become a musician, but I'm just going to wait here until, Anu Malik tells me that, come on Indian Idol." I'm sorry, I'm really bad with all that references, because I'm like not into music at all. But you have to work really hard, like work hard and like upload videos, become a vlogger, or, so that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to keep your goal in your head first of all, and then you have to work towards it. That's the only way to go. So yeah.
Perfectly makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So I think we talked about a bit on how you landed in NIFT. But landing in NIFT doesn't really guarantee that you can start up on your own, right? It's more about the skills that you gain from there. So did you have this key of becoming an entrepreneur since, say, your school time, or did something strike you while you were in college?
No, not during my school. I was not keen. I actually took entrepreneurship as my fifth subject after I dropped out of math. And I did really extremely well in my three boards, like 99 kind of thing. But then I did really bad in my boards. So, but that's what I'm doing in life now. So yeah. But anyway, so I actually didn't like it. I thought that's too much of an hassle, too much of a hassle. Then I went to college, and it just like that the idea of starting something of my own just started growing. So when I was in first year, I remember like thinking about starting something next year, like from the next year. So I always thought 2016 will be my year. I don't know why, but I think everybody thought that. I don't know, 2016 hit different. So I always thought, it's gonna go that way. But so I remember I started thinking about having something of it, but I was never clear about it. I never knew what exactly will I have to do, until came a moment when we started working with people, basically with artisans. So when I met them, artisans, and then I just realized like what immense potential people have. Like we as designers, we are taught to utilize their skills to build businesses that we don't even own, and we don't even give anything back. So from that point of time, like I actually met this family of artisans, and all of them were immensely talented, and it was like a generation after generation sort of craft thing. It's called a cluster, it's a craft cluster. So it was a bell metal, dokra art, if you know. It's from Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. It's an art form. So we went there and we spoke. I lived with them for all of us. We lived with them for some time, and it invoked something in me. I was like, I thought, what if I use it and give them back something, because they don't make anything. Like whatever they make, they actually using generations and generations of knowledge, technique, skills to just to give away that in form of a product. And they don't even get like 5% of it. So I just thought it was unfair, and उससे पहले मेरे मन में चल ही रहा था that I want to start something. So one point became clear that I want to start something which involves artisans and which is good, which is beneficial for them, which doesn't exploit them as a lot of big brands might do. So small thing became clear to me. So you know how you make plans with your best friend, and you like, yeah, we'll start something. So that went on for quite a long time with a lot of different people. Everybody in my group, I had different plans of starting something with. Nobody was ever serious about it. Neither was I with them. But yeah, so but then we talked about it so much that it was by the end of college, it was just very clear that I'm going to start something of my own. So धीरे धीरे it started, like it started in second year, but I think धीरे धीरे it got really strong, the feeling and the want to do it. But so yeah, I don't know if you'll call it a kida as such, but because it was very slow, it was a very gradual implantation of that idea of becoming an entrepreneur. The idea came much later, like about this, but that entrepreneurship idea. So it took me a long time to actually, I would imagine myself as an entrepreneur, like what would I do? Oh, oh, in my company, this is not going to be it. So things like that. So it took me a long time, about 2 to 3 years. So, but then I got play, and then the best thing that happened to me was in in my final year, I got placed in a startup, and I just realized, wow, startup culture is cool. I like this. Why not, learn something and build a very similar thing? So, yeah. So my initial idea, like my core idea, never went away. But the feeling of the uh, like wanting to become an entrepreneur, it grew stronger over the years. So I guess I think it was like a whole metamorphosis thing of a kida going on, like from a cocoon to a butterfly. Here we are today. So yeah.
Yeah, that's well put. So one question, so maybe just for us to understand and for the people watching to understand, is what is the process of how brands or people buy from the artisans, or ask for the services? Because you said that they don't get paid a lot, maybe just 5% of what they should be earning.
Yeah.
So what is the process of procuring from them, and how are the margins cut?
So this is a very controversial thing. So I would just like to make it clear that it's not a hard and fast rule that what percentage should the artisan get, because in the end a lot of people would call that kind of a business a very smart one, because cost of a product, the lesser it is, the more profit you get, which is like the smart way to do it. But from a social perspective, because we had personal relationships with them, all of us, because we made friends with them, and we were taught to value tradition, we were taught to value the skill. For a person, if you buy a lamp, you don't care if it's a lot of people won't care if it's handmade, or if it's hand painted, or if it's like if it should work well. So but for designers, when we are at the back of the chain, we know how much time does it take to create one of those pieces, where it's handmade or hand painted. And like we went to I told you about craft clusters, so all of those crafts, so all of those are generation after generation sort of crafts, jahan pe families for generations have been doing this. So it's not only their livelihood, it's also their way of life. So that is why I thought that you should add that value to the product. To just say big brands, for example, say H&M or Zara Home or whatever. So it's it's actually common knowledge that they exploit people who actually make these things for them, because they use cheap labor and then they sell it at a very higher rates after they brand them as their products. So there's no it's I mean, everybody knows. The thing is, in a country like India, third world countries, Indonesia, India, Thailand, like pick up your Nike shoe and look under the cab, you'll know Vietnam, all of these countries. So yahan pe the labor is super cheap, and the market in the uh, like Europe, USA, so that market is like, it's like the most there's a potential market which has like great buying potential, because they make a lot of money. And because of all this, because of the difference, uh, because in the currency and all of it, तो इसकी वजह से जो एक इंसान in a third world country works for, they make 1,000 rupees per day, for example, which is a very good quote, and they can just sell it for like 5 to 7 times higher. And not like, it's not even like in the same currency, I'm not even saying 5 to 7 times higher in INR, in like dollars, so which is like 70x that. So because of all of it, like the entire economics of it, it becomes like that. I'm not saying that those brands are trying to do it, like they're actually evil and all of it. It's not like that. It's just that they're just smart. They're just reducing the cost of making, charging, and then they're just selling it for whatever profits they have to. So it's like that. It's kind of become a cycle now. So yeah.
Udish, one last question from me. So, Nandini, is there no platform or no, say, company that directly links the customers to the artisans to, say,
There
get
are
their
a lot
customized
of,
designs?
yeah, actually a lot of brands do this. A lot of brands give you this option of getting in touch with the artisan and getting your things customized, but that's through the brand. So it's always commission based, because why would they they give away their resources for free? Because somebody in their team must have built that entire system, that entire supply chain of the vendor to the customer. So they can't give away their resources, so it's obviously through them. And other than that, all of these people, so mass production is cheap. So whenever you'll meet an artisan uh, who does one of a kind work, they'll charge you a lot, because it takes a lot out of them. But even if you meet like a vendor, say, who makes these things for a lot of brands, so they'll also charge you a lot, because they don't get anything out of it unless and until it's mass produced. So it's like it's also a matter of scale in these things. So if you say, that's why getting something customized or getting something directly made from artisans, it's not a very economical way to go about it, I feel. And coming to like websites or maybe like a platform that connects them, I'm 100% sure there must be a lot of them. I think Etsy is for independent artists, so which has made it big, which is like it has its presence in all, I think, globally now. So Etsy is like independent artists. I don't know about artisans, like if you talk about jo gully gully ke artisans like we work with. So I don't think they are onto any channels because they're not exposed that much. They don't have that kind of, so it's all a cycle. Like they're not exposed, so they don't know how to be on a channel, be on a platform. And so that is exactly what we are doing. We are actually bridging the gap between them. But of course, that's exactly like through a brand so that we also get something out of it.
Yeah, I think like you highlighted a great point about the core reason of you starting up your company, and obviously apart from generating profits, you had uh, a factor or a goal in mind, that why you want to start it, and obviously you wanted to help out these artisans. So how important is it to have the value factor, in any business or a cause related to it, because obviously this is something that you cared about, and
Yeah.
it gave you kind of like a boosting point to start up. So yeah.
Yeah. I think for me personally, it's the biggest thing, the number one thing that any business can offer, because everybody will offer you their products or services. But I mean, you must have read like a lot of marketing. Um, I don't know, because I'm not officially um, into it, but yeah. So value addition is the key to success for the business as well as for the customer, because obviously it's for them. Value addition is always for the customer and for the business, but in terms of the customer should like it so that the business grows. So it's a two-way thing. So yeah, I think it's like the most important thing, value addition. And if it's say using the resource of human resource of the company, then I think it gives it a little more personal touch. People can relate to it. It's a story in itself. So since, and you know how, so it just becomes like more engaging. I would feel becomes more engaging. It becomes more emotional. So that's a great marketing tool. That is like the ultimate marketing tool. So I feel that's very, very essential in any kind of a business.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, uh, obviously, like Nishant and I and our group, we have like struggled with the thought of starting up, but we will come across like a lot of ideas, but in the end we won't see the value addition factor that you talked about.
Yeah.
And that is where we back out because we don't have enough confidence to put our hearts and soul into a particular idea. So I think, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, 100% agree on the value addition, and obviously obsessing about your customers and keeping them first.
Yeah,
uh, I think, yeah,
definitely.
I mean, kind of related to this, but when someone's about to start up, or they are thinking of an idea, there isn't like an official guide, right? I'm not sure if there should be one, but it's not easy, honestly, right? And
Yeah.
you not coming from a commerce background or a business family, so how
Yeah.
easy or difficult was it for you, to kind of navigate this maze of starting up and starting your own company?
Okay. So as I have so far told you guys, it was
Yeah.
always in my head that I wanted to do it. So, when it's in your head, you start planning subconsciously at first and then consciously later. So when I started my job at this startup only, so when I started working there, I knew that was the place because that was like a very young startup. Like my boss, like the CEO, he was what, 27, I guess, or something. It was like a very, very young startup. All of us were like 22 to 27K age bracket mein the. So everybody is like, in that age, everybody is new to, open to ideas, and they listen to each other and everybody. So it's like, so I knew that was the place to learn the most, because nobody will, nobody will keep it a secret. Nobody will say, no, I'm not going to teach you this or not going to teach you that. So from that point of time, I started planning in my head. I have to learn this. I have to learn this skill, that skill. This is important. This is how it works. And I made friends. So yeah, I'm like, I do that. I like a plan way ahead. So I started making friends in each department. Like I would have at least one friend who would teach me. So I would just ask them casually, how did you do that? And what about that? And oh wow, that's interesting. Can you teach me? Things like that. And I would just, pick on little things. So I knew, so by the end of it, when I actually had the courage to do it, I knew that, if I have to run a brand, these are the 5 departments that I have to know the essentials of, the basics of. Marketing का basics आना चाहिए मेरे को, creatives का आना चाहिए मेरे को, सेल्स का आना चाहिए मेरे को, कस्टमर इंक्वायरीज का आना चाहिए मेरे को, सब बेसिक चीजें आई न्यू कि ये 5 चीजें तो लगेंगी ही टू रन दिस बिजनेस. सो like that, like I picked up on small things to finally know ki what areas should I learn more in. And I knew ki when I'm going to start up, I knew that, I'm not from a business family, as you said, so I don't have like an existing team of my own. I would not have it. So I knew that, I would have to do everything from A to Z, everything. So always knew ki, I actually made a list ki exactly what 5 things or 7 things or 8 things I would need to know. So that's how I started planning about it. And as I told Nishant, I also said, I researched a lot. So I think for me, in this case, research was the key. So before planning, how research is the major factor that actually gives you a lot of clarity also. So even when I was looking for an idea, I was researching for that, and from one research I came to the next one where I was like, if I circle around this idea, what would I need to execute that. So things like that. So everything was interrelated, and I would just spend hours and hours and hours surfing the internet, looking what other brands are doing, how do people work, making friends with them, connecting this and that. So but that in a very short span. So I kind of created like a web for myself when I was working in Gurgaon. And then and I did not have any plans to start this soon. I thought, I'll do this exact thing, build that web for my startup for about 2 years, because it'll take that much time. I never thought. But then the pandemic hit and we all had to go home. So then, and since my job was like very, very exploitative, like super, and I actually made it that way because I knew I had to learn. So I would say, yeah, I'll do this, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that also. I'll do this. So it was very, very exploitative. So I was kind of like getting burned out. So then I thought, if I'm working this much for these people and I have whatever knowledge I have, whatever research I've done, I think I'm just going to start my own. So I was also like a trigger point for me. Okay, let me just do that. So not coming from a commerce or a business family or a commerce background, it has uh, given me a lot of hardships, honestly. But it's also made me like strong. Like it has taken away a lot of my fears. Like when you're from a particular field, for example, say design. So you kind of like, you're not into numbers. Like for me personally, I know key numbers are not my thing. I don't like Excel sheets. I can do like 3D modeling and Photoshop and whatever you want, all these hi-fi, but MS Excel, it used to scare me. Like, I can't do this. But since I did not have a backup, I didn't have a team to do it, I learned it. So for my personal growth, it has been amazing. but at the same time, it also kind of, it takes much longer. Like one task would take much longer than it should take. So yeah, so for personal growth, it's amazing. But if you see the efficiency, I would say always like talk to the experts, take help from anybody who's willing to help you. For me, it was my family, my brother's friends, my friends, people I knew. So don't shy away from taking help. So that's how I did it. And I didn't shy away from taking help. I actually like bugged people. I was on calls with them for like hours to just learn stuff, because I didn't know everything, but I knew what exactly I needed to learn. So I guess I did the framework back work first, and then I moved ahead.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but I think what you said about asking for help. It's I think it's all that you can do when you are starting up. So definitely, don't shy away if you need any help. That is like
Yeah.
one of the best advice that people would get out of it.
Yeah. Okay. So Nandini, you talked about managing everything on your own, learning from people, learning from your friends, right? Didn't you think of maybe having a team, say a co-founder, right? Someone from your college with whom you can work and distribute the
Yeah.
responsibility instead of taking everything on your own?
I did actually. I always wanted a co-founder, somebody who would understand me and we would have like the same working style and like the ideal co-founder. But like I started doing it and I realized, there's nobody like that. And I have a very, so you can say I have like a split personality sort of a thing, because I'm very sweet when I'm, talking to you as a person, but I can get like very, very conceited when I'm talking about work, because I have to, I don't know, it's a designer thing. I think you have to get it right, is what I feel. So I knew that somebody from a design background would be suitable for it, but I also did not want to share my core aesthetics with that person. Like I didn't want their input in it. So I was kind of being very selfish. So a lot of people told me about getting a co-founder, who is not from the design field and who would help me in other stuff like, say, finance, which is something that I lack right now, or like a marketing person or something. But I could never get one. Like I could never find somebody right. So long story short, I just started it on my own. And um like there are a lot of people who get stuck at this idea that, I don't have a co-founder, so let me just not start right now, let me just find a co-founder first and all. So I think that's a good approach, but I think you should also start. Like people will join. I have had so many requests from a lot of friends, peers, not people I didn't even know, just random people on Facebook, LinkedIn, who just wanted to join the team, who wanted to connect, who just even people who just want to work for free, or become co-founders with me, because when they heard, okay, somebody starting up something, so if there will be a lot of options, there will be a lot of people who would want to come your way if you do well. But I mean, I think if it's your idea, you should totally give it a shot first and see where it goes before you get somebody else involved in it. If you're not sure about it, if you know somebody who's perfect for your business, I would say go for it. But if don't have anybody in mind, or if you're not sure about that person, so you should just start on your own. Do something which I mean, that you also start with that person's duties, responsibilities, job roles. Then you would also understand what exactly would he have to go through. So you would also know how what exactly are you looking for. So to know that, getting into the field and starting up, I think that is very important. So I'm still looking for a co-founder, by the way, but I've never found somebody who was like that. Although I'm kind of close to um, getting people in my team. Actually, I actually have some people in the team now, and proper interns and employees. They're going to join from next month, from when we start our office, proper office and a studio experience center sort of a thing. But before that, for 8 months, I have kind of just carried this on my shoulders alone. So I guess if somebody is looking out for a sign to do it without a co-founder, this is it. Go for it. Do it.
And I just realized that we didn't ask you to explain what does Saga Jaipur actually do. Right? Would you like to let the people know what exactly is Saga Jaipur about and what do you do over there?
Yeah. Okay. So Saga Jaipur is a brand. It's a home lifestyle and home decor furnishing brand, uh, which is based on the lines of slow luxury. So slow luxury right now is a concept which is very popular. It's gaining popularity. It wasn't that popular back then, so basically, it teaches you how to slow down the pace of your life and reflect on yourself, start getting into things that actually matter, like say the environment, like the actually big things of life. So like environment, the people around you, the community that you belong to or you don't belong to, other people around you, so giving back to the society. So all of it comprises of what we do at Saga Jaipur. It's essentially a home decor and lifestyle brand, but it is based on so many of these concepts, and we use them in all of our products. Like most of our products are entirely eco-friendly. We use pure organic cotton when it comes to materials. We do Everything is done by hand, so there is no machinery involved when it comes to processing or the secondary part of it. We It's an online right now. It's an online enterprise or organization. So it's like we employ, like a lot of people are employed in a way that we don't have to employ people to employ people. It's like that because it's an online thing right now. So like that. But the most important part about it is we like we started talking about it when we first started this thing, is we also take care of the artisans. So the people who actually provide us with these things, their skills and knowledge from their generational wealth, basically, unki. So we try to preserve it in a contemporary also, but we also don't, just let them do what they're doing. It's also an effort to contemporize the craft so that it goes with what the modern Indian or the modern, like our TG basically would want, because that's also an important part of the business. So we contemporize the craft, we teach something new to the artisans so that they also learn something new every day. And with the profits that we make, a certain percentage is fixed. We give that to the artisans' kids for their education. So that's also an interesting story, actually. It started off when I knew somebody personally who had to get his kids out of the school because they couldn't afford a laptop, and it was an online education only kind of a thing that time. So then I thought that, that's not fair. Their parents can't afford this and the kids are not getting the education. So it that is how we started. um like we didn't plan on becoming a philanthropic brand per se. Hamara basic perspective was just to free them mentally of the traditional things and teach them new things and use it, like, to make it a win-win situation. But when that happened, so we also became a philanthropic brand. So other than that, it's basically like a print-based brand, which is based on a craft called block printing. So block printing is it's an age-old technique from Jaipur. Uh, it's how it's done. Uh, you carve out wooden blocks and then you use it with dyes on fabric to create prints. So that is I actually have some blogs right here. If you want to see, I can show you. I just got them from my collection in a while. I'm kind of lazy right now to get up, but yeah, later. But yeah, so that is, we use block printing as a technique, contemporize it, make products, sell them to our TG, and also give back to the community in terms of knowledge, new marketing skills, and of course, like education support. So that, and also please check out our website and Instagram. Please put link in the bio or like the comment section. And yeah, and you can like check out stuff. You can get your parents to check it out, because it's mostly for them, because they kind of make the decision around the house, to what to buy for your I don't know, bed sheets and all of it. So that's our major product range is home decor and home furnishing. So basically like bed covers, bed sheets, cushion covers, um, dohers, comforters, all of these things. And then now that we're expanding and we're getting good response. So now we're also going to start with apparels very soon. We started with printed shirts. So you guys can totally check it out. They're very pretty. And other than that, now we're going to start with women apparels very, very soon. So that's how, and that's the plan, to expand it and make it into a proper lifestyle brand, which focuses on home apparel. Maybe someday wellness. So yeah.
Cool. I think so. You talked about what Saga Jaipur is and your journey. So just to quickly wrap it up, we see that a lot of startups are getting funded by VCs and all, especially after Shark Tank India.
Yeah.
So what is the future of Saga Jaipur? Are you planning to stay bootstrapped, which is obviously an amazing thing, or are you planning to go for funding at a later point in time? Uh, yeah.
Yeah. So funding किसको अच्छी नहीं लगती? I mean, it would make all of our lives very easy, and we would actually start functioning as a proper organization. So yeah, I see the future as a funded company, but I think it's way too early to go there. I think I would start by getting a team in place first, which can be sustained through a bootstrapped setup, which is basically what we're doing right now. So now that it's expanding and it's doing well, the next step would be to get a team in place, and then division of labor should be such that everything is efficiently done. And then I will think of actually applying and looking for funding. And the best part about this is, since it's a social enterprise, and since almost, I mean, except for the skilled block printers, all of our employees are women, and I started it. So there are a lot of schemes which enable women entrepreneurs and women workers, or a woman-led entrepreneur enterprise, to get funded from the government. So that's also something that I'm planning on looking forward to. I'm planning on researching about it first. So that, so I think I'm going to go in both of these directions. And in a while, I think I would take this year and then properly do it, because when it comes to money, I don't think I can joke around and just rely on my luck or the company's luck to sail the boat. For it, I will have to strategically plan it, get a team in place, get my record straight, and everything, which sometimes, when you're the only person handling everything, sometimes a lot of things, they depend on your whims, or maybe like, my mood swings. If I don't want to do something, I would not do it. So I don't want it to be like that. I want the brand to properly work like uh like I want a proper framework and a structure to it first, and then I would definitely think about going in both of these directions: government funding, or a VC, or angel investors or whatever. So I'm like very new at this, so don't, laugh at me. But yeah.
Yeah, I think you've the journey, the path you're taking, right? You're not just copying people because you don't want to scale up. So the thing is, you want to scale up, but you don't want to scale up at
Yeah.
the expense of losing that power or the control over your business. And if you get that
Yeah.
funding, you might not have the entire decision in your hands, right? On how you want to
Yeah.
navigate through the brand. And
Yeah, I also don't want to come across as somebody who doesn't have a shit together. I don't want to come across as somebody who doesn't have everything in plan, because that is like the one thing that they look for. Like they want to know that, this person can sail the ship. They know their whatever they're doing. So
yeah,
I mean, I know that it's right now it's fundamentally wrong to get a funding, basically. So let me just, take everybody together with me and build something which can be scalable. So so right now, basically, whatever I'm doing, it's scalable on paper. But to be actually scalable, there are a lot of things that all of us know. So yeah, so I want to cover all my bases before I start applying.
yeah, makes sense. I think going at your own pace and then figuring out how to navigate from there. Yeah. So
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah, just to wrap up the discussion today, we've reached towards the end of the section, end of the podcast,
Yeah.
and very unique points and very insightful points given by you, starting from your journey on following your passion or listening to your heart, and then going for studying in NIFT, and then again over there having that that desire to start up, and eventually you did, right? You didn't
Yeah.
really let go of it as well. So you were
Yeah.
essentially in control of your life since your, I don't know, the school time or your childhood. And even after that, even now, so that theme is continuing, that you're still in control of your startup and you're making conscious decisions on getting funding or not, and making conscious
Yeah.
decisions on the future of the startup, right? On whom to hire, how to hire. And everything is being
Yeah.
done by you alone. And that's one of the big things that I want to highlight over here. As it's even if there's a large team with startups, right? They are not able to figure out what to do, how to scale, what to put out next. But as a
Yeah.
lone entrepreneur, you're doing everything together, everything on your own, and that's really applaudable. So uh,
Thank you.
thank you, Nandini, for sharing your journey so far. And any points from your side, Udish, before we close?
I think I would just like to highlight that all that what you said about me taking control of my life and everything. I think I would like to say that, will it gets a little messy and a little um, unpleasant sometimes. But in the end, I feel if you do what you want with a vision and, as I said, hard work, and you have that inside you to actually work hard towards your goals, I think you're going to make it. So I think don't, wait for what like don't procrastinate when it comes to actually achieving something that you really want. Like I said, like I told Nishant earlier when we had a telephonic brief conversation, that I didn't start for fancy, like when I worked in proper export houses, startups, like I did a lot of internships, and a lot one I don't know, I did just one job, but I knew what kind of infrastructure is needed to start these kind of things. But I never waited for it. I always started it. uh, I mean, like I said, there's this word called jugaad. So I think I always did that, always improvise my way through things. So don't wait for uh, things that you think cannot be done, unless they're like physically impossible. There are always ways to do it. There are always ways to get over your excuse this wala phase, and just my suggestion would be, just go head on into whatever you want to do, and never be afraid of working hard. It's okay. You can, like, okay, that's a very, I know that's a very redundant phrase now, you can sleep when you're dead. sleep is super important, guys. I'm just going to sleep now because I have a shoot tomorrow at 6. But just it's fine. When it'll pay off, that happiness would totally exceed all of your, the frustration of not getting enough sleep or not, figuring out something in the first go. Just don't give up. And I know it sounds very Instagrammy that, don't give up, follow your passion, this and that. But I think just do it, and always have a priority list in your mind so that you're like clear. And even if you mess things up, because everybody does that, it's okay. It's like you wanted to do it. It's not like, somebody, you can't blame somebody else for your mistakes then. So it just kind of makes it better. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nandini. And Udish, anything from your end?
I think so. You mostly covered it all, like all the basic fundamentals that people should know about. So again, thank you for taking the time out and having this discussion. It was certainly insightful for me, since I have always wanted to take that leap of faith, but
Yeah.
I'm still not there. But yeah, I mean, great conversation and great discussion overall. Again, thanks.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me again. And I don't know, I'm like honored to be here. It's like very, very heartwarming for me. Thank you so much for giving me this platform.
Anytime. Thanks for accepting. Thank you, Nandini.